Welcome to the Reimagine School Leadership Virtual Webinar Series. So we have eminent panelists with us and we are going to talk about an important topic today. Reimagine is very important term. If we look back exactly 1 year back, if we go and we see the kind of situation in the country, the scenario of COVID and the lockdown situation were forced us to reimagine the way we operate, the way we live, the way we run our businesses and day-to-day affairs. So we had to forcefully reimagine that how we are going to redo our works, how we are going to cope up with the situation of lockdown. And today, we are going to talk about how institution and teachers adapted to the complete virtual and digital academic delivery. So we have our eminent panelist with us, and I am shortly going to introduce. So before that, I would like to thank you all the attendees and panelists to join today's webinar. I am Ritesh Chawla and I represent UniApply. For all the viewers, I would like to introduce UniApply. UniApply is a common application platform which is transforming and digitizing the school's application and admission process. UniApply is a product of No Paper Form. Education industry being hit due to pandemic, and it's been tough for both teachers and students to adapt the digital way of delivery and absorbing the knowledge. However, the digital expansion beyond the traditional boundaries has witnessed exponential growth. The personalized learning pathways have emerged and the teachers have created an environment that is completely learner-centric. So today, we are going to talk about how teachers adapted from Blackboard to digital screens. So we have, all the panelists who have experience of more than or close to 3 decades, and they have seen all the transformation from a blackboard to a green board, then to a whiteboard and a smart classroom, then to completely virtual academic delivery. So welcome all of you.
Thank you.
So we have, I would like to introduce our first panelist, Miss Nindya Saket ma'am. Welcome ma'am. Ma'am is principal with Manav Rachna International School, Sector 51, Noida. So ma'am has been associated with Manav Rachna family for last 7 years, and before getting designated as a principal MRIS Noida, she was serving as a vice principal with the same institute. Ms. Saket has an experience of 22 years in the field of academics and administration. She is a trained teacher with MSc Applied Biology along with an LLB degree from Jammu University. She has worked with schools with high repute in the capital region and NCR. She has even worked as a principal in schools in Delhi and Dubai. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have Ms. Mamta, ma'am. She is the Director Principal of Manav Rachna International School, Sector 14, Faridabad. Backed with enriching 29 years of experience, Ms. Wadwa's expertise in pre-primary education makes her tour de force in the field of education. Erstwhile, having served as a principal of Stream School, Mrs. Wadwa shares a brilliant insight into the world of children and understanding of their individual need. As the founder principal of MRIS Sector 14, she has played a vital role in shaping the success of the institution for past decade. Welcome, ma'am. We have Ms. Novita Chopra with us. She is currently serving as a Director Operation of BLS Group of Schools, New Delhi. She has vast experience of 3 decades as an educationist. She has served various other schools as principal for over 2 decades. She is MSc Physics with specialization in electronics from University of Delhi. She has been a college topper and position holder in Delhi University. Welcome, Novita ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ritesh.
Now we have Sanjay Yadav sir with us. Sir is principal of Alcon International School, Delhi. He has experience of 29 years, right? And I personally know Sanjay sir, and I have seen the institution. I have seen Sanjay sir's contribution in helping student, for getting admission into Harvard and many other reputed university abroad. So, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ritesh.
So, without taking much of time, I am going to discuss about today's topic, and now I will ask my first question to Novita ma'am. Novita ma'am, we have witnessed this lockdown last year almost at the same time. We were actually forced to, adapt this digital way of delivery, right? Teaching online to all the students. So my first question to you is, ma'am, how the school leadership help to identify the gap in the process, and why and up to what extent are the current process soiled and disconnected? Ma'am, I would like to know your view.
Sure. A very good afternoon to everyone. I would just, start by saying this, that the whole year 2020, the session that we call, was kind of filled with uncertainty, stress, and a lot of fear. And, this year might go down in the history as one of the worst years. Yeah, it was true because there was an economic crisis, schools were closed, people lost jobs, health problems. I myself had corona. I'm fully recovered now, thank God. But then, I think every adversity brings an opportunity. So let's look at things a little in a positive way. Okay, with all this, what happened? What good happened in this year? Two very major things have happened, especially in India. One was the coming of the new education policy. I mean, the education, past 35 years, we were waiting for a new education policy. And secondly, the technology part which has entered into education, which has really played a major role. I am sure, any amount of money or any amount of training would not have given such result which this pandemic has given. So this is actually a very positive thing which has happened to our education. I mean, overnight, the schools were shifted to homes, and overnight, the bedrooms and drawing rooms of the teachers were converted into classrooms, and the blackboards were instead of the blackboards, you have now the mobile phones and the tab screens, and instead of the copies, we had the screenshots. So the transformation, Ritesh, was so quick and so fast, and it is actually, something to really people, I think, are going to talk about it for years to come. Hats off to our teachers. Hats off to the people in education who have made this possible. Because, this is not easy. This transformation was not at all easy. And, I would also stress on that in addition to learning technology, adapting it, and applying it at the same time, even keeping a emotional balance was also very important, because everybody, it was like, the teachers were also gripped with this fear and anxiety and uncertainty. And they were maybe they were paychecks were not there, the salary cuts were there, the schools no hopes of opening, so there was so much of anxiety. So overcoming everything, learning and then applying it was absolutely marvelous. So I would only, add one more thing to it, that as a leader, as a director of my schools, the BLS schools, um, my one job, yes, was to provide them the basic infrastructure, which was hardly anything because everybody was working from home. But in addition to providing them a little basic training, because we introduced the online portals and everything, the basic aim was to motivate them, to be in touch. So this is what I really did. I made it a point that I myself was in touch with Zoom meetings with all the teachers of my all my schools, and I used to make it a point that I will listen to them, I will guide them, I will give them that reassurance that they are doing a wonderful job. And then from simple classes, they shifted to even showing the PPTs, to showing the, even the science teachers, they could shift to showing activities and science practicals and whatnot, videos, and then taking exams. I mean, it is an absolutely a wonderful journey. And I think I am in loss of words to speak about it. So yeah, that's how I will sum it up. Yes.
So now I'll go to Mamta ma'am. Mamta ma'am, what do you think? How motivation and the kind of moral support is important for teachers to kind of support them to help them come out of this anxiety of taking online classes and shifting virtually, uh, shifting this academic delivery virtually just overnight. So would you like to add on something to this, ma'am?
Yeah, thank you, Ritesh. Thank you for the question. And it was lovely listening to Mrs. Novita. She very rightly said that it was this year will definitely go down in history because of the changes that have come about in education. I completely agree. It was an absolutely very, very challenging year. And shifting from the classroom to the online mode was actually a humongous task. And teachers did need a lot of hand holding. And it's not only teachers, it's also the parents, it's also the children, and everybody came on board, and we all, came in together, and we stuck to the the deadlines of the date on which we were supposed to open. So I so clearly remember we were supposed to open on 7th April, and we sent a circular to our parents saying we are opening on 6th of April, and 2nd, 3rd, 4th we are doing the online training, so be ready. And suddenly the parents were like taken aback that what's the change and what's the hurry. But we could see that yes, we do need this transformation. And we initially 10th and 12th had started working on Zoom in the month of March. But come April, we shifted to MS Teams, the Microsoft tool. And we trained all our teachers, we trained all our students. And of course, the parents also got various circulars through the online portal. Even they were trained. And, the teachers had a great way to connect to the children through technology. But I must say, the parents also became co-educators with us. So this was the basic shift that we saw. Now, coming to your question as to how we trained them and how we, came up with a foolproof plan, yes, lot needed to be done. I so completely agree with the panelists before. Teachers had sleepless nights, and they were working till 12, till 2, till 4 in the morning. Again in the morning, they were exposed to all the parents, to all the children, to the world outside as to how they were teaching, on screen, and everybody could view them. And we had to make our classes so good because all the times the parents were judging the teachers, and children are very smart with their technologies. So the teachers had to be a step ahead, with them. So yes, teachers needed a lot of training. A lot of teacher training went into that. And we started with teaching. So yes, a lot of PowerPoint presentations and a lot of videos and audio programs, but gradually we saw that our children are also doing so well. So even they were trained. When you talk of the primary children, the senior children, and they came up with flip teaching. So children had great projects to put up with. They came up with great teaching modules, and it became a very robust program. Also, I would like to say that we conducted so many programs to ensure that it just doesn't become a mundane teaching, in front of the screen every day. So we had our little assemblies. We used to start with a recorded prayer so that they don't miss out on their assemblies, morning assemblies every day. And then we had various competitions, international competitions where we had children connect from all over the world. So that was something which proved to be really good, with all our children and all our parents. And it did take the parents a little time to understand the system. It did take the teachers and the children a little time. But once it was there, it was perfect and everybody got used to it. We even did our annual functions online. We have something known as a P Gurukul, where all the parents, they became a part of our teaching learning process. So yes, the parents who were experts in their various fields, they came and shared through various webinars like we are doing now. We invited celebrities from the field of sports, from the field of entertainment, from various other fields, doctors who came and spoke to children. So camps were conducted online and there was a great connect. So much so that even the parent-teacher meetings were conducted online. And parents were very happy with that because they didn't have to wait for the teacher. There was a given slot to them. They connected online and all their problems were taken care of. And the efficacy of the program had to be monitored. So we had to check on whether what we are doing is right or is it effective or not. So yes, a lot of assessments were done. Now the assessments were again in the form of quizzes and again in the form of turning in their question papers and answer sheets. So children also learned to do all this and they were given proper training to do all this. So all in all, it was challenging, it was difficult, but I think it's come out great at the end of the day. Yeah, thank you.
That's really good, ma'am. Sanjay sir, would you like to add on something to what Mamta ma'am said about bringing up the different people to talk to students, to talk to teachers, motivate them? So would you like to add on something?
Absolutely. See, first of all, as it was very rightly discussed by everyone, that we had to remove that fear factor from teachers' mind. Imagine a classroom where teachers, they had so much of command and control. They were working with children and come what may, they were not exposed to the parents or families. And imagine when you are conducting a class and with the thought at the back of your mind that there are 30 families who are constantly watching you. Human nature, everybody becomes a little skeptical that yes, how is it going to go? And especially performing on a platform which you are not used to. Sudden transformation had happened. And after that, the viewership had suddenly increased to such a great extent where it could go to the extent of inviting even critical inputs, I may say. But this is one place where I want to compliment the families, the way they joined with schools. In fact, I have heard compliments from people who are from technical background. They say that the kind of transition, the rapid transition which happened, we would not have imagined it also. We were given so much of training and at times we still fumble and we find it difficult to perform. And the way teachers have connected with our children, the way they started doing, we of course, every school has the simple system that there were small class groups, maybe WhatsApp groups were there. The moment I'm talking about 20th March 2020, 19th was the last day when we were all on campus and 20th onwards, everybody was at home. Now, what needed to be done? One, the faculty had to be prepared, obviously. Some exposure was there, but still the exposure to the extent that it is giving them the ability to conduct classes smoothly, using various technological platform tools at the same time maintaining and holding on to the interest of the child. Because in a classroom, when a teacher walks in, they have that eye to eye contact. They are able to see the children. They are able to connect and understand. Even if a child is not paying attention, by looking at the child, the teacher is able to make out that where is the child going, and then they are able to control. And on the virtual platform, there was a situation where the child would log in, and after that you don't even know whether the child is paying attention or not. Child is only present for the namesake. So connecting with them, and then the journey was not that it is for a temporary phase, maybe for a month or two, though it all started, but obviously nobody knew, and even today we don't know the direction in which we are going. So to build that interest of the child, to bring in new components, to bring that creativity, that there was a lot which has been done. And there's so much of learning which has happened. I have started using the term that it is actually a reverse mentoring. It is a collaborative effort which has happened. The schools have stopped talking about that we do this, we do this. In fact, now the schools have started sharing that we have a person who is very good at this particular tool, and he or she is available. If anybody wants to make use of his or her expertise, they are available. So this is what is one of the things which has come up, be it when we look at it at an international collaboration following sustainable development goal, or we look at the aspirations of NEP. It talks about the strength of team. So within school, the teams have come up so strongly, and they have started connecting with the universe around. So these are certain things which have become the norms of the day. And of course, the future is very exciting. When I say, when I've been dealing with senior class students, there has been a common complaint. Everybody would say that the child does not want to attend school so regularly because maybe they want to prepare for their competitive exams, or they want to come only to attend for certain practicals or certain things. They have their own priorities, and the system was not ready for it. They were rigid that no, we need certain minimum expectation, 75% attendance you fulfill, or there was always a negotiation. I've seen at the end of the month children coming and asking the class teacher, okay, what is the percentage of my attendance? And then they would do a smart calculation, okay, next month these days I will attend the class, and these days I will not. And now it has come to a situation where the lessons are available. When we are talking about open source learning, that was there. Maybe the adaptation was not there and the acceptability was not there, but now these have become the norms. Even we have gone to the extent we are experimenting with a same lesson, common lesson plan, different teachers are teaching. But there is a common, just as for making the question paper, if we are looking at a common blueprint, and everybody makes a question paper. So even for our lessons, there is a common blueprint. And on that common blueprint, I could have a blended mode that a teacher is teaching in school, those who want to come and attend the class physically. And there is a live broadcast which is happening by another teacher simultaneously. So the power is given to the child. It's your wish. It automatically prepares the teacher also to bring in the component. That excitement is there, and at the back of it, there is immense satisfaction. Because once you are able to connect with the child, once you are able to deliver it to the child, you can imagine the kind of satisfaction you have. So it's a beautiful journey, no doubt about it. Transition has come by force, with no choice available, but it's a beautiful transition, and I'm sure that the future is exciting.
So Sanjay sir, you rightly said that school have done so much for the kind of help and support student when it comes to academic delivery, or teaching them in different ways to keep them motivated. Like Mamta ma'am also said that they've brought in some of the celebrity, right? So kind of school have tried to keep it both ways, like interactive, so that they can stay intact to the studies, right?
Yeah.
But we all know that we all work for the outcome. So how the stakeholder adapts? So another question is for you, Sanjay sir,
Yeah.
that how the stakeholder have adopted technology and have ensured that there's a best possible outcome, because we all know that we are working for a common goal, and there are certain outcomes. So how teachers adopted technology to ensure the best possible outcome in this whole scenario?
Right. So as I mentioned it in the earlier sequence when I was talking about, number one, empowering teachers, exposing them to certain common minimum tools, and then letting them explore it on their own. I have a teacher who is teaching in pre-primary who could use augmented reality to create a scenario inside the classroom where the child sees the class with excitement. At the same time, there is a teacher in senior secondary who is conducting virtual lab experiment, and he thinks that he is the scientist now. Today, he is demonstrating and his lecture is on YouTube live. And it's not only his own students, but there are a number of students who are watching it. There are students who may have their own expertise and they come up with solutions. They say that, all right, in this particular subject or in this particular context, if we use this tool, we have it. Be it their feedback, be it their own quizzing. You look at primary students, they are creating quizzes for their own classes on Kahoot. It becomes like a game. So there was a time these children, they were very much adaptive to technology. They have been playing games, and those playing games used to come to schools as complaint. Parents would come and say that my child is spending so much of time in playing those games. And today when those children, they are playing games with Kahoot or they are using other platform, parents are excited. They say rather we are sitting with them and we are enjoying it. So number one, yes, the fear and the stress factor was removed by providing the initial support. But after that, it is the trust. It is the trust in the teacher, it is the trust in the student. And at the same time, like ma'am was talking about, that we had virtual annual day. When I had the request from the teachers for virtual annual day, they came and gave me a list of softwares. They said that these are the tools and these are the softwares which we require, so that we can bring in that professionalism. We can present it. I can tell you that my teachers are ready to create any film. They are able to broadcast it to any extent. And they have taken part, children and teachers have taken part in International Film Festival during COVID duration. So this is what has emerged out of it. Stakeholders, right from the parents to the society, to the management, to the school teachers, everybody has worked together as a team. So we don't say that we are working for the students, we are working with them. We are working with families. As ma'am was saying, that if our day begins with morning prayer, we call it as well-being time. So well-being time has become the family well-being time. There are so many parents who have reflected that, yes, we look forward to the morning prayer. And that's such a beautiful beginning of the day for us also. They say that we don't mind waiting for another 5 minutes for our meeting, but then that prayer has become an integral part of our life also. So this is how the life is molded. And of course, well-being, when my physical education teachers, they went into asynchronous mode and they started posting their videos or activities which had to be done, the families joined. And when we put the videos on, we see it's not only the child who is performing those activities, it's the entire family. So the entire stakeholders, which are not only working for children, but they are working for themselves also. So this is how everybody is emerged, and it does build that comfort zone. The moment that comfort zone brings, the innovation comes, the joy comes.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Sanjay sir. Now my next question is for Nindya ma'am. Ma'am, we all know that when it comes to the student of middle wing or the senior wing students, they can still stay intact to the screen and they can probably understand the importance, and somebody can kind of command them to stay intacted, or maybe with a good messages, or maybe parents can make them sit. But how difficult was it to kind of the hand how the difficulty you have faced in hand holding the kids of primary section?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Ritesh, for the question. But first of all, I must thank all the panelists. It's wonderful listening to you all. And Ritesh, I must say that we educationists are so used to taking everything positively. When the entire world is saying that we are scared of this pandemic, they're all already talking negative about it, we are the ones who are creating positivity around. So undoubtedly, the educationists are the one who are the nation builders, because they're pouring positivity into children. So coming back to your question, I would say that with pride, I can say this, that there was a complete revolution in the way teaching started taking place once we came on the digital mode. This revolution has been brought in by the technological tools. Both educators and students have by now become IT experts. They have acquired IT skills. And you're talking about the little ones. I must tell you that it is amazing to see when you get into a classroom. It's amazing to see a toddler taking instruction from the teacher, unmuting the tool himself or herself. In fact, the senior ones will mute themselves, they won't even answer. But the younger ones, they are more receptive to the technology because they are the natives of technology. We as teachers at this age, we are not natives. We have adopted this technology, but they are the natives. They know technology better than us. So once these children, I personally went into the classroom and I could see these children answering the questions put in by the teachers, participating in the sports activities, the way the teacher is. And trust me, I have also seen little children telling others, why are you sleeping? Ma'am is teaching you. Ask your daddy to mute. She's making a lot of noise on the platform. So trust me, it is a wonderful platform. This platform, this technology has become the center of education today. Now, we can't say that a child sitting in Bangalore will not study from our school. He will, because we are available online now. And not just the senior ones have definitely gained from this technology. They have definitely gained during this pandemic time, but the younger ones have become more confident. They have become more self-reliant. They don't need their parents to help them out anymore. They tell their parents, please don't disturb, go and sit in another room. My ma'am is handling me. So they have become so confident now. And trust me, it's very exciting and very encouraging to see the little ones responding in such a positive manner.
Thank you, Nindya ma'am. So Mamta ma'am, I have a question on the same lines, right? When it comes to academics, I'm sure in the technology, the toddlers, like ma'am rightly said, they are more receptive. They are in fact, telling their grandparents to be quiet and, instructing or maybe giving message that, okay, don't disturb me because I'm busy with my teachers and school. But the question comes when we talk about the physical schooling, we see a lot of extra curriculum and a lot of extra activities and physical activities that we come across, right? We see in the school. So how school have ensured that they have delivered this through virtual mode for the toddlers or the primary section?
See, that's a, a very, very important question, because if it would have been all academics, it would have got very boring for the children. So yes, the way the teachers were conducting themselves, there were slots for, for the performing arts classes, for the visual arts, and whether it was sports and well-being, soft skills, or whether it was life skills. So we had slots allocated for all of these, and for the, the other languages that we teach, whether it was Spanish or French, because we had to keep their interest alive. And the various functions that we celebrated with them. For example, now when you talk of the toddlers or the primary section, now the children had to know who is their peer group like, who is the teacher teaching them. So we used to have virtual cheer parties once a month, wherein all the children would sit down with their cup of juice or with their popcorns, and all of them would, show their favorite toy. Okay, this is my toy, or this is my robo. And they would exchange, notes with each other, and they would talk to each other about what do you do in the evening, and what do I do, and how do I spend time at home, and what are the skills that they learned. So there was a lot of, interaction between the teachers and between the children. And like Sanjay sir said, teachers have done a great job, and teachers actually excelled in all these things. So yes, we did see the teachers doing amazingly well in this. So like, children used to say, okay, mute or unmute. And from there going on to flip teaching, from there going on to creating their own PPTs, learning, now we've even introduced AI and other things. So children participated in a great way. And when it comes to toddlers and when it comes to the primary, they did need a lot of hand holding. They did. But yes, that was just initially. Sometimes you could even see that the teachers had said, used to say, children, please log out now. The session is over and the next session will start after 10 minutes. But children used to, just not log out. They used to be there and they used to keep talking and make plans on what to do. And they created their own teams and they used to meet each other. So children became adept at, handling technology at that age. So it came up very beautifully. Also, it was not only using technology in a simple way, but the visuals they created, the graphics that they created, the sound that was used in that. So that was very beautifully done. And I was so happy to see, the annual function that we did. We named it Ophir Lockdown, and there we brought about all the positives of lockdown. And children came out with such great ideas, in our theater sessions online, and we asked them, what has lockdown taught you? So I so clearly remember one child saying, ma'am, now there's no body shaming because everybody's covered with a mask. And you can't say that he's fat or he's not fair or he's very fair or he. So children think to such levels and they came up with great ideas. And it was wonderful to see them perform and come on board.
Right. Thank you, Mamta ma'am. Now my next question is for Novita ma'am. And we all know that it's been a year almost now that schools are giving academic delivery through virtual classes. And in recent past, we have come across with several circular of the government, central government and the state government that, okay, now the schools can reopen for the senior classes, right? And in last 1 year, we have witnessed that the senior student they are also kind of very much comfortable with the digital learning. Now, many of the school have asked them to come and appear for the exam. So we have witnessed the resistance from the parents and the students. So how school is actually kind of working in a direction to gaining that confidence of parents as well as student to kind of bring them back to school, at least for the senior classes I'm talking about, and making it hybrid from a completely virtual classroom. Novita ma'am.
Yeah. So as I told you, everything has those pros and cons. So both the systems had their goods and bads. When they were home having their online classes, it was lots of things were positive that, sitting at home, they were having all the education. The whole world stopped, but the education never stopped. So this is again a salute to our educators that we didn't let that happen, and the education went on. But then, it will take some time to change the mindset also and change the whole education system of the country. Now, we were used to that there will be written exams. For example, the board exams, 10s and 12s. And then there are certain practicals which are to be conducted. So for that, you definitely need that the children should get some written practice and they should come to the school and attend some practicals. See, I don't think that this hybrid model, anybody is going to oppose this. Yes, initially there was a fear in the parents, that how would they send their children. But then the schools, obviously, they had sessions with the parents. I myself had so many sessions with the parents. So then, slowly that confidence was built that school is also taking all precautions. And when you are sending your children, it is only, let's say, the senior block which is coming, and that too coming in groups. So you don't have, at a time, you don't have more children coming. So slowly that confidence was built, and the students also thought that, yes, they need some extra practice. Yes, they need some written practice. So they, started coming. But yes, the whole process took a lot of time. It is not the shift from offline to online was in a day. It just happened in 2-3 days. But then this confidence obviously needs some more time. And the whole scenario is not going to change in a day. Maybe the new education policy is also going to help. And now the competitive exams are also changing. They are also making it online. So slowly, slowly, the things will change. The revolution has started. It is not the end. It has just started. So I think we should just give it some time. Some fears of the parents are also, not to be neglected. Obviously, Corona hasn't gone anywhere yet. I mean, seriously, I mean, we are having a second wave in the country, and obviously the cases are so high. So we have to take all the precautions. It's we cannot say to the parents, "Ki it's all over, and now you send the children, and it's everything is okay." So the schools are also making a lot of changes. The parents are also cooperating. And now that, as the other panelists have mentioned, that now they are partners. They have seen the journey. You know, all these years we were always complaining कि ये education system को बदलना चाहिए. You know, now this year we should feel that we are the luckiest generation. We had the opportunity to refresh, relive the whole education system. Huh? And we've done it wonderfully well. Parents को पहले ये रहता था कि काश ऐसा हो कि मैं अपने बच्चे के क्लास में जाके देख सकूं कि मेरा बच्चा करता क्या है क्लास में. Is he responding? Is the teacher teaching well? Is he understanding? Now look at us today. The parents had all the opportunity to sit in the classes, and they had the opportunity to watch the classes right from inside. So lots of things have changed. So your confidence level, maybe it will slowly change. As the other panelists were just giving examples, it just came to my mind that we organized one this grandparents day in our schools. And the grandparents were given the opportunity that one by one, they were allotted time that you can talk to the children in the classroom. So they were invited, the grandparents. It was such a wonderful, such a learning experience. And you can't imagine, Ritesh, the excitement of the grandparents who were given the opportunity to come to the classroom, to talk to the little ones, to share their experience. It was just wonderful. And that is why I said that when the school came so close to the parents, the webinars, the seminars, I don't think that before this year, the stakeholders could interact so much as we did in this year. You know, there were straight talks with parents so many times in the year. So I think the confidence level has improved now. Okay. So now if the teachers or the school is telling them that for senior students, you need to come a few days and you need to do this, or, do your practicals or complete your work or do your, written practice. So they very much understand. So there wasn't much of, hue and cry in our schools. I mean, it was amicably, both the sides, we agreed upon these hybrid arrangements. And I think it is going wonderfully well right now. And let's hope that it will be better even in future. Yeah.
So, one thing is for sure that schools have done a lot in terms of ensuring best possible outcome, which was one of my questions. In fact, I asked Sanjay sir. So,
Yeah.
school have done really well in terms of, for the best possible outcome, and they have changed their methodology and they have changed their ways. They have introduced new things, right? They have trained their teachers. They have done so much for to kind of support students and parents. But looking at the current scenario, like you rightly said, ma'am, that Corona is not over, right?
Yeah.
We are witnessing the second wave.
Yeah.
So my next question is to Nindya, ma'am. So, ma'am, we were in a phase where we were kind of making it again hybrid, where we were calling the senior classes to the school. And ma'am rightly mentioned some of the some of the measures which school has taken, right? But in the current scenario, when I was reading an article where we have witnessed yesterday the highest number of cases since last October, right? So what do you think now? Will it become more difficult to kind of regain the confidence, and do schools need to take more step towards counseling parents and students to kind of make them come to the school? And what do you think about this topic, ma'am?
Well, Ritesh, one thing is very important to gain the confidence of the parents, and which is communication. We have to keep our communications open all the time. We understand that there are apprehensions all over the place. People are scared that their children might get this disease or it might prove fatal, which is acceptable, and we must empathize with parents for this. But I also must say that when a parent has a confidence that yes, the school is following all SOPs, they come in this, we have given this opportunity to the parents. We asked them when we were told we were permitted to call children to the school. I personally called parents to the school. I said, you take the round of the school and you get assured whether we are following SOPs or not, whether your child will be safe in the school or not. So they did take a round, and then, they all have their WhatsApp groups. So they were the ones who encouraged others. And trust me, I had 100% attendance when for the offline exams. And even right now, when we're
Pretty
preparing
great.
board exams, I have 100% attendance, 10th and 12th. Communication is the key to all kind of concerns that parents have or as schools we have. It's the confidence building between the parents and the schools. And we all know that pandemic is not going anywhere. This COVID is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Tomorrow, a few years down the line, we may say, ki, like we have viral fever, isko corona ho gaya. With the vaccination coming in, the confidence is coming back in parents. Yes, the COVID is rising. There's a sudden surge in the COVID cases. But if you see it, if general public will start following the precautions, they will start wearing masks, they will sanitize themselves. I'm sure it's not going to go up the way it's going up in other countries. India is still better because our immunity system is much higher, stronger than other countries. हम लोग अगर pollution खा सकते हैं, तो हम COVID को भी हरा सकते हैं. That's what I believe in. And definitely the communication, the confidence is very important. With this kind of scenario also, parents are confident sending their children to the school with only one assurance that the schools will take care of them. So I'm very confident that coming years, all schools are doing their best, and we have to live with this COVID. We have to learn to live with this COVID and open our campuses for the children. And campuses like haunted houses without children. Trust me.
I can completely understand, ma'am. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. So my last question is for Sanjay sir, a small and quick response which I want from Sanjay sir. Sir, it is, the kind of most anxious parent, if I talk about, are of the parents are of class 10th and 12th student whose children are going to appear for board. And what do you think? Is it like a complete online and virtual thing cannot help, right? So what extra measures schools are taking to kind of help the students who are going to appear for the board classrooms this year?
Fine, Ritesh. When I look at students, even if you compare it with the offline scenario, we all will agree that maybe it's a group of 20 to 25% students who have been self-motivated, who have been doing work, and for them, school system had a different significance altogether. There were another 20%, I may say, who were complacent, who are complacent, and they know that, okay, this is what we can do and we are fine with it. The problem is with the remaining 60%. Out of that remaining 60%, I would say that when it was a personal contact, when teachers could interact with them, they could talk to them, the level of motivation was much higher. And they were the ones who could be motivated to do much more. Here in this year, when the teachers have not been able to build the contact to that extent, because teachers also, be it in terms of their time or availability or their responsibilities, have limitations. We have to understand the limitations of the system. So with those children where the parents are working, they are not available at home, teachers are not able to build that one-on-one contact to that extent as much it is desirable. With peer, maybe the acceptance is not so much, they are not so comfortable with their peer. So there is a significant section which has suffered. Learning gaps have come. And in fact, I have started telling teachers that forget about 2021. 21, 22, you are going to face even bigger challenges, because the human behavior is going through transition. And these children, they have come to a situation. Even today, I look at the state of a class 10 or a 12 child. Watching the news, looking at the situation which is happening, they are still scared. The parents are scared even for sending the children for their practical examination. They know that if my child is going, there is a risk which is involved. And whether they, if God forbid, if there's anything wrong which goes, will they be able to write their board examination or not? So this is something which, of course, needs to be addressed. There should always be plan B or plan C for the comfort of those students. The other day, I was reading a letter which has been sent by CIS to all their IB and IGCSE schools. They have already mentioned that we are not conducting the examination. In fact, we are honoring the assessment by the school. They just have to have the evidence of assessment. They have to share their grades, and we will honor that. And today, we are all prepared. Everybody is to an extent mentally prepared. They have become physically little more resilient by coming out of their homes, by attending school. But at the same time, the fear has not gone. So what is the situation today? Like I say, from the month of January, when we started opening our campus, we used to have weekly review. Weekly review, number one, with the faculty, number two, with the parents. The same thing is required. I've seen there have been some sessions where Ministry of Education has reached out to students and parents, and they did have dialogues. And of course, everybody is trying to make them as comfortable as possible. But at the same time, stress cannot be ruled out, the anxiousness cannot be ruled out. And it is very essential. Think of it from the point of view of a class 12 child who is preparing, somehow who is getting mentally prepared to write an examination, and a thought flashes in his or her mind that suppose the situation becomes worse and the examination don't happen. Doesn't it add to the stress factor? So a lot of counseling, a lot of talking is required. We have to make sure that our children, they are comfortable. We have to tell them this is not the end of the world, and eventually what are the priorities, how we have to go ahead, how we have to be prepared to deal with every situation. Because earlier also I used this statement that the uncertainty is the only certainty. So today we are sitting and discussing, tomorrow what are we going to face, we are not aware of. We need to prepare all minds for that. We need to build that comfort and confidence level among the students, because their anxiety is the highest. And my request to all elders, I use the word elders including teachers and parents, is please not to add any stress to their life right now, because as it is, they are so insecure about the future. They don't know what is going to happen in their colleges next time. There are children who have performed brilliantly, but when it came to writing JE, maybe they have not performed up to the expectation. There are elder children, you won't believe, class 12 level children who break down, who say that I'm not ready for examination and I don't know what is going to happen in that exam. So what is most important is, when we give it a priority, it is the child, it is the life which is most important. So let us try to build that comfort. Let us try to create. Worst come to worst, I go to the extent of saying, what is there in 1 year? Worst case scenario, be prepared for the worst and do your best. That is what we have to give them confidence, and show them that yes, what we need to be convinced with, that you are making a conscious effort. Good enough. Forget about the result. We are there to take care of it. That assurance has to come from the parents. That assurance has to come from the teachers, and nobody at this point of time, nobody should add to even a single iota of stress in child's life. And I'm sure they will do very well. That's the need of the hour.
100% agreement, sir. So thank you, Sanjay sir, for sharing your thought on this question. And now we'll take a couple of questions from audience before taking this for a closure. My Divya Chauhan is asking, ma'am, Mamta ma'am, I would like to ask you this question. though we have covered, but still, if you would want to add on something, Divya is asking, is online teaching really effective for student or it just the need of an hour?
It started as the need of the hour, Ritesh, but it is actually effective. And had there been no online classes, imagine what would have happened the entire year. So it came to our rescue, and there was no other way out. And it's not only here, but it's all over the world that the online classes were happening. So it came to our rescue, and thank God for technology that we could, make education possible for all our children. And yes, going forward, looking at the times ahead, now the teachers and the educators know that have to be ready for any kind of situation that comes in. It, the cases could rise and they have to take classes from their homes, or the cases could fall and like we are wanting them to come back to school, they will come back to school. If it is a 50-50, then we'll do a hybrid model. So everybody is ready for all kinds of situations. And like sir so beautifully said it, that the difficult times are now to come, because emotionally also the children were affected in a big way. Not only children, the parents were affected in a big way, the teachers were affected in a big way, and we've all taken it in our stride. We've all learned to fight it and combat it. So yes, all good will come out of it.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I am going to share the question by Chirag Gupta and I'm going to ask to Nindya, ma'am. Ma'am, Chirag is asking that he understands that schools and teachers have accepted the new change. But what about the challenges faced by parents? What are your suggestions to the parents?
Ritesh, I would say that, like I said before, the communication is very important. So if the parents are facing any concern, schools are always open to listen to the concerns. Just communicate to the schools. And the only solution is communication with the right people. Like we say that when you have stomachache, you go to a doctor. If you go to a lawyer, you end up messing up yourself. So you have your concerns regarding anything. Supposing it is a pedagogical stress the parent is going through, that not able to understand anything, go and have a dialogue with the school authorities. You will get a solution to it, and schools are always open and ready to help the students and the parents. So my suggestion is communicate with the right people.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ritesh, with your permission, could I add a little more to this?
Yes, sir. Please.
What I was talking about, yes, this is a common concern which the person has expressed here, but parents have also expressed. And what is expected of us as educators to support this situation is to make the learning available 24/7. Now, when I say learning available 24/7, it's not that there is a live session which has happened and the class has happened. The repository should be available so that the children or parents, they could access it at any point of time. They can utilize it and they can even revisit it. They can go back to it. So this is what is going to be the next phase where we have to move on to. And that will bridge the gap. That will give parents also the comfort and confidence, and the child will also enjoy.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir, I have another question which is asked by one of the parent. So this year, new parents, if we talk about, they are a little skeptical about, enrolling their kids, right? So how schools are helping to the upcoming or the new parents for enrolling their kids in the prep classes?
Why are you talking about new parents for this year? Even last year's parents are still new to us. Because if you look at last year's nursery, neither the children have visited the campus nor the parents have had any interface. So it is still new. And if I have to say that we have to the weaning away process will begin even for those children and parents who have graduated from nursery last year. So yes, it is, as Nindya ma'am was talking about, open and clear communication. The guidelines have to be there, repeated orientations have to be there. As I was telling that from January, if I started functioning on calling children, we used to have weekly review, not only with children, not only with teachers, but with parents also. So we have to create a window where as many questions, earlier we were answering to the questions of children only in the classroom. Now let it be open to the parent, because we are all part of a family. And we have lived in each other's home also, to be very precise. So let's welcome them. And luckily, yes, we are dealing with parents who are now maybe third or fourth generation learner, a large amount of them, and they are also well exposed to the technology. So it's a clear cut orientation and discussion with them, with a thought that here is a system which is ready to open, ready to review, ready to listen to them, and ready to adapt to the best practices which come their way. Will build the confidence. And of course, in between virtual tours of campus, some activities which are being done on campus will keep adding to the excitement in the life of the children. I have seen there are certain children who have not been able to attend classes at primary or pre-primary level even today, and we need to look at their perspective. We need to look at the challenges which are there. We are sure that with time, maybe from July, there will come a situation where we may be able to welcome a few children who are facing any challenge. There's a parent who is very well to do who comes and tells me that I have 4 children and 2 of us are working, 6 of us. Now, do you think all of a sudden when the lockdown was announced, were 6 devices available? Was my bandwidth good enough to give support to 6 devices? There have been gaps. We had to choose alternately that these 3 days, these children will attend classes, next 3 days, the other 3 children would attend classes. So these challenges have been there and we have to find solutions. So yes, hybrid and blended mode where we can provide off campus and on campus support, that is what will take care of these problems. So we will keep orienting, keep working on them, and their feedback, their suggestions, their support is always welcome.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. So I will now take the last question by one of the uh, participant, Miss Shivani. Novita ma'am, this question is for you. Shivani is saying that she doesn't seems like situation is changing in terms of COVID cases, and situation is getting worse when it comes to the new wave which is coming in place now. There's another wave of COVID. So despite all the challenges, Shivani thinks like parent has to accept this mode of learning just because there is no option left. So despite all the challenges, so what would you like to say on this? She says that this is the only option left now.
This is the only option left, but this is the best possible solution. See, it is worldwide accepted. There is, you are right there that there is no other way. Okay, because if the child cannot come to the school, then this is the only best possible. But instead of just saying that it is the only possible, can we make a little change and say this is the most acceptable, the best possible solution? And in other countries, even the higher education was already working on these lines. It was only in India that this was not very popular. And the reason, of course, was there that it is like this kind of infrastructure and the internet was available only in the cities, and the villages were not aware of the technology. Now I would say thanks to pandemic. Okay, I have two of my schools are in village areas. Believe me, I am not having any problem now in running online classes in these village areas. One of my school is in Bahadurgarh, one is in Jeend. Jeend is supposed to be the that kind of a village area where technology had never entered. But look at it now. The children are so comfortable, the parents are comfortable. Think of the situation that at least we kept the education going, we kept the learning going on. There were no gap in the learning of the students. So this is a big achievement. So don't just call it the only possible solution. I would say it is the best available and widely accepted, worldwide accepted solution.
Thank you, Novita ma'am. Though this is supposed to be the last question, but I will take that liberty to ask another question, and this will be the last question for sure because this seems to be an interesting question, and I would like to ask this to Mamta ma'am. Mamta ma'am, Shubha Govil is asking, do you think standardized or online exam is the most effective way of judge learning?
See, there can be no one particular way to judge learning. And why judge learning? And why, so there have to be a multimodal activities. There have to be various ways in which you assess learning. And it is not to say what the child doesn't know, but it is to see what is it that the child knows. So why not give him a varied kind of experiences to see what he knows? So it could be through quizzes, it could be through online exams, it could be through offline exams. Sometimes, it could be just through, his presentation. He might come up very beautifully with some presentation and say something beautiful, about the research that he's done. And sometimes, he might not be able to do it well on the in the pen and paper test. So like every child learns differently, like we have differentiated learning patterns, similarly there have to be differentiated assessment patterns. And it's no one way that is correct. Always blended together, brought in together, they are the best.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your answer. And thank you so much, all the panelists, for your wonderful thoughts, exchanging thought. And there's so much to learn from you, that the way you have worked to kind of uplift your the different stakeholder when it comes to teaching staff or the parents or the student, you have done tremendous job to kind of support each one of them, right? So now I would like to close this session with the remark, and I would like to thank all of you and the participant. Uh, Thank you so much for participating today. Goodbye.
Ritesh, and before we sign off, I would like to share a quote of Haruki Murakami.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Storm is that once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. This is what storms are all about. So thank you so much for having us on this platform. And I would thank all the viewers for being there. Trust me, अच्छे दिन नहीं रहे तो बुरे दिन भी नहीं रहेंगे. And don't, these are not बुरे दिन, these are the learning times. So we all are learning.
Bilkul, agreed.
So
Agreed,
much.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ritesh, and thank you, everyone. That was wonderful indeed.
Thank you, Sanjay sir.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you,
so
Ritesh.
much. Thank you, Unify.